Good evening, everyone. I'm Palak.
And I'm Muskan.
And I'm Arusha.
Today we have with us Ritik, Maitri, and Dhruv, our IEEE alumni.
I would like to welcome you all to this meet today, where we're going to answer some of the questions that are often asked by our peers and your juniors. Before starting, we'll be giving a brief introduction of all our interviewees.
Today we welcome Ritik, a fourth-year computer science student. He was recently placed in Oracle, an American multinational computer technology corporation.
Our next guest is Maitri, a fourth-year IT student. She's placed at Citrix, an American multinational cloud computing and virtualization technology company.
Lastly, we are joined with Dhruv, a fourth-year CCE student. He was recently placed at Blackrock, an American multinational investment management corporation.
So, firstly, how much do you miss the offline classes and fests?
Oh, don't start with that question. We start with a rant. The fests were the best part of college life, and we got to attend like only one revels properly because when we were in our first years, we didn't really know what to do, what exactly to do. And when we came to our second years, we became organizers and started organizing the fest as such. Then we came to know, okay, this is how it works and this is the fun behind it. But then third year onwards, we didn't get a chance only.
All right. So how should one study in order to ace in your particular branch? Ritik, would you like to go
Right.
first?
Yeah, sure. So for CS, right, if you see the subjects as they go from your third semester, for me, my third semester was extremely difficult because we had 4 labs. You guys probably will never have 4 labs because we had this one experimental lab called OSTL, which was, I think, later removed from the curriculum. So that used to be a really hectic semester with 4 labs and 4 full days. Like Monday used to be a full day, Tuesday used to be a full day, Wednesday, Thursday used to be a full day. By the time you came to Thursday evening, you're extremely tired and exhausted. You don't know what to do. So that is how that semester was. I couldn't really cope up well in that semester, and most people tend to have a GPA drop in that particular semester. So in retrospect, what I can say is it had a subject called object-oriented programming and data structures. These are 2 very important subjects. I don't remember the others, but these 2 subjects are very important. They have their respective labs. These are the which, even from a placement point of view, will be the most useful ones. For me, particularly in Oracle, all 3 rounds, one thing that was common was object-oriented programming. One of my rounds, it was totally based on object-oriented programming, and that lasted extremely long. That was more than 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, that round. And I had to implement everything I knew in object-oriented programming. So that is definitely a course you should take seriously. Then data structures, obviously, as you know, it's the bread and butter of any software developer. So I would suggest that do that seriously. Concentrate in the lab. After that, you get used to the curriculum, and I found that the subjects are not very difficult. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Find the ones that aren't and score better grades in those particular subjects. And so one technique that really worked for me from my first semester was just listen in class, make your notes in class, and just before your exams, just revisit those. So everything will just start coming back to you. And this has helped me till date.
That is
This is
something
just a
that
general.
we really want to do every day, but we don't do that. We end up sleeping
It's difficult.
instead.
Definitely in an online semester, it's very difficult because it is difficult without that physical feel of a class, and you have your friends around you, you have a physical professor in front of you. It's not fun.
Yes.
Exactly.
One more point that I would like to add to what Ritik said, he pretty much covered everything. That you need to think it through that what are your priorities if you want to go for higher studies, like if you want to go for MS or some other course just right after BTech, then your CGPA, your GPA is a very important factor. So for that, you need to maintain a basic 8.5 minimum plus CGPA. But then if you want to start working right after your BTech degree and you want to explore a little bit, then what I would suggest is maintain a basic CGPA. Like for most of the companies which came for placement, it was around 7.5. So try to maintain a basic of that CGPA, and after that, try to work on your skill sets. The more number of skills that you have, the more work you put in to brush up your skills and you polish your skills. That is what is going to matter at the end of the day. Not many companies will come and like, okay, CGPA is one very a big criteria for sure, but then it is not the only criteria. So not a lot of students are very good at the curriculum, the college curriculum, but they will be very sharp at say competitive coding or Android development or some other skill. So even if you maintain the basic CGPA, that should be good enough for you.
And just to add to this, right, I have a very different outlook on this. I feel that, so my dad has the saying that in college, if you have your grades in control, your college life is in control, right? You can do anything and nothing matters. But if you don't have your grades in control, anything you do anyways doesn't matter. Your academics, everything you do, at the end of the day, you're coming to college to study, right?
Yeah.
At the cost of sounding
That
cliche,
I agree. That is why I said
you need to have, if you have a good grade set, right, irrespective of whatever you want to do, you want to pursue further studies or you want to do a job, I feel it's more about time management rather than allocating so much time to just studying. It's not like you will consciously not allocate time to studying and then do coding, right? You do it in addition to that, not besides that. So yeah, I mean that's a separate outlook, but yeah.
Moving on, could you give us some tips for labs? Ritik, would you like to take over?
Yeah. So labs are very easy. I used to love my offline labs way more on than the online labs because labs, I think you should, it's very important to just enjoy the labs and not care about the grades and everything. To give you friends around you, and that's a fun experience. This is one place where you actually get to implement stuff, right? You're not coding on paper, and you don't get to see your code come to life. You basically just remember, you try to think the solution, and you just put it out there on a paper in a normal theory class. But here you can actually code, get your hands onto a computer, and implement and see the solution. So it's a lot of fun because if you've paid attention in your class, you can just really come and implement everything, and it's a lot of fun. You'll not even feel as if it's something you have to study for. It's fun. You talk to your friends, and you
It's
try
this.
different solutions, and it's a lot of fun.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing which
Labs
you
are,
study in theory. You just have to implement in practical in the labs because uh, I'm not sure, but in different streams or different branches, I think there's some extra effort to put for labs also. But once you're done with the lab, if your basics are clear in labs, you can easily write your codes on theory. And the teachers are not going to check each and every line of the code, whether it's properly working or not. If you do it in lab, you can easily write your own code in theory subjects, in theory paper.
yeah, this is, I think, the single-handed beauty of all computer science related branches is the labs are not at all different from what you study in theory. Like you might even have an overlap of maybe your lab question coming in for your theory question, sessional paper or end sem paper, and it's everything just goes in hand, no extra effort, don't need to prepare separately for labs. It's all very cohesive.
the college has made the entire lab process very tedious, like exams every day now or every alternate lab session. But that became a bit too much for me once. And once I was talking to my sister, my elder sister, and she said that this is the part where this is the engineer wala part that you are getting to do. This is what you are going to do when you finally get a job. You are getting to implement what you are learning. So take it as a fun aspect. Take it as, okay, I learned this, now I'm getting to implement this. Don't stress too much about labs. I would say do the daily bit in the lab itself without wasting time, and that should suffice. That should be sufficient for the labs.
So I think IT or CCE have this thing where every lab
Yes.
they have an assessment. So
CSE does
CS
not
does
have
not have
this.
this.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think this is a
that's
very
what
big
as
advantage for
before.
CS because it is not hectic for us. I feel because we get a lot of marks for writing that journal. think people don't realize, but that journal really has a big advantage because when you write down the code that you type, right, it just the logic gets drilled into your brain. You get used to a lot of things in very subtle ways. It really helps you. And coming to that, because we don't have daily assessments, right? I feel that we have a little more freedom. You're not worried about assessment. You code in the lab genuinely only because if you want to code a solution and not for the reason of an assessment. So I think that bit of freedom is really nice.
How is CSE, IT, and CCE different from each other? Like, what's that differentiating aspect for these branches?
Yes,
The
the
first
main
point is CSE gets marks, ICT people don't get.
I mean,
I can vouch for that.
the main thing, so the basic structure, the raw structure remains the same. The basic coding things which computer science thing which a computer science engineer should have in his curriculum, in his BTech curriculum, they are the same. CSE has a few extra subjects, I think, because like formal and automated theory and extra subjects.
Compiler design and all of those,
Compiler design and
system
everything is there,
design. Yeah.
which I think is good,
Mm.
as in if we keep masters as a point of view, because these are the few subjects which the higher colleges expect one to know about, the basics at least. Rest all data structures, oops, and it's just a semester difference. Like if we study this in our third semester, they would have studied in the fourth semester. But at the end of the eighth semesters, each and like every student from a computer branch has more or less studied the same thing.
Uh, in one of my interviews, I was asked about compiler design question, and I could not understand what the question was because we hadn't studied about it. So the interviewer actually asked me, "Did you not have this as a subject?" And he was pretty shocked that how can we not have compiler design as a subject. Then system design is one more subject on which a lot of questions are asked in the interviews, which again we don't have that in ICT department, but it is pretty easy to grasp the concepts of system design, so that should not be a problem, but compiler design is something that I think we should have.
so CS basically has all the core subjects, and I think across the three branches, some of the electives and a few courses differ. Other than that, I think it is more or less the same.
Mm.
From a placement point of view, every company that is that comes for CSE comes for CCE as well. So there is absolutely no difference between the three branches from that perspective at all.
Yeah, I think the major change comes in the sixth and seventh semester because you have to select your P's from your department, and
Yeah.
different department provide different P program electives. So I think there's a difference. But again, those are computer
Core
subjects
subjects are
which
the same.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, as you were talking about the sixth semester group, could you please tell us what kind of electives or specializations are available for your particular branch in the sixth sem, and what should one go for? Like, what are the
So
things that one should
so yeah.
consider before
So there are
applying?
two types of electives, like which you have to, from sixth semester you have to elect your program elective as well. Like you have to choose a program elective as well. But from fifth standard, fifth
That.
semester, you have to opt for an OE as well, open elective. So personally, I didn't want an extra subject or extra thing on my head, so I preferred humanities wala open elective because they were like kind of a interactive, more interactive type sessions, and the teachers were also used to understand what a person is going
They
through.
don't require a lot of effort from your
Yeah,
end.
yeah. So it's just a normal day-to-day activities which we have to do and which we have to study in the subjects. Talking about the program electives, so for all fifth, sixth, and seventh semester, I've taken humanities for OE. So I would prefer if someone is not willing to have an extra subject on their head and just have to casually know stuff, so they can go for humanities. Any of the humanities, the electives which they offer, all are good. For program elective, I would say so for sixth semester specifically, as you asked, for sixth semester, we had, I think, I don't remember. We have only one program elective, right? No, two program electives.
So
So yeah, I had taken Coursera because Coursera was the thing which our seniors had told us. It's it's pretty flexible. You can watch the videos at your free time, and so the two extra classes which you have to attend, you are like you don't have to attend those classes, and you can watch the videos on your speed and do the assignments. It's a bit scoring as compared to other things which they have to provide. And so that's why. So I took two Coursera subjects in my sixth semester, and I continued those two subjects in my seventh semester as well to get the minor specialization. So yeah, I would say if they are providing Coursera. So first of all, look at the curriculum, what they are providing, the subject what is providing. If it's interesting for you, go for it. There's no thing that you have to study two extra subjects, or I have to study one less subject. If it's interesting, if it fascinates you, then you will easily get through it. Else, you can always go for a bit easier subjects looking at the curriculum of the courses.
Thank you for the insight, Dhruv. Ritik and Maitri, would you like to add something to this?
Yeah, sure. So I do have the list with me, which has all the electives. I don't remember them by heart, but I remember which ones not to take. I think that is the more important thing.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we had some of these electives which our seniors told us not to take. I remember one of that was the iOS dev wala elective, which apparently it had an extra class and a lab all combined into an elective. So that would increase your one extra full day, and it's a difficult uh, course to take. That is what our seniors told us. That is what I also heard. I don't know anyone in my friend circle who has taken an iOS dev. Another one was Android app development, which was a big no-no. Again, a lot of our seniors told us don't take that. It's a very tedious course, and maybe how it is aligned or the timeline that is given to us, we're not able to completely learn that course to that particular extent. So avoid that course as well. Again, as Dhruv said that a lot of people took Coursera, even I took Coursera. So yeah, does make your overall curriculum a little more bit more relaxed, gives you a little bit freedom. So yeah, and if your interest is in the right place, and if you find that definitely going for P's, you should see your interest. I have seen people who have not gone for Coursera, and because they had an interest in a particular subject, they've gone ahead and taken normal courses, which generally people don't take. So yeah, that is their OEs. Again, coming to OEs, as Dhruv said that you should go for humanities OEs. I have also almost always gone for humanities OEs because I felt that this is one place where you get to go away from engineering and learn something that you might otherwise not have an opportunity to learn. So some of my friends had taken this DOC OEs, which had a lot to deal with finance. So they really went into depth into a lot of finance courses. So I would recommend those as well if that is where your interest lies. As if you want something that is out of the engineering curriculum, then humanities are best and definitely are slightly scoring, even though it doesn't matter now because OEs are not included in your in
Yeah,
the GPA calculations. Yeah.
that's what I was about to say. Since it is not calculated in your GPA, try to go for something lighter in which you will have to
Yeah.
put in less effort. Like, five subjects as such, they are tedious enough. They require a lot of time and effort. So the fifth subject it should be something which is relaxing, just as Ritik said. And about the PE, something that I would like to say is do your research well before opting for the PEs. There are a lot of factors that you need to take under consideration before choosing PEs. Difficulty level being one, your interest being another. And one more thing is if this recently I this was brought to my notice that one of my friends did not opt for Coursera in his sixth semester, but he realized that the other Ps were way too tough and he wanted to switch to Coursera Ps in his seventh semester. He could not get a specialization. Minor specialization is basically under one category. If you are opting for four Ps, then you get a certificate that okay, you have done a minor specialization under this this is his topic. So of course, since he did not take the PEs in the sixth semester, he could not get a minor specialization, and he was fine with that as well. He said, okay, I don't want the minor specialization. I just want Coursera PEs for my seventh semester. But he did not get those PEs because his HOD said that since you did not opt for Coursera PEs in your sixth semester, you cannot get it in the seventh semester. So these are little things that you need to keep in mind before before taking a decision. So do your research well is what my advice would be.
Okay. So as you were talking about the program electives and specializations, could you please tell what's the difference between the two?
Between specialization and
Program electives.
okay, program electives. See, program electives are basically the subjects that you choose. You will be given a list of program electives. I think there will be around 7 to 8, as far as I remember, 7 to 8 program electives that you will be given. And out of that, some of the suppose there are 9 program electives. Okay, now all these 9 electives are divided into say 3 different sections. So each section has 3 program electives under that. So in your these are offered in your sixth semester. Then again, the topics will remain the same, and under that, the program electives will change in your seventh semester. So if you are taking program electives from the same topic in your sixth and your seventh semester, then you get a minor specialization certificate, which you will not get if you choose your program electives from different categories. That is the only difference.
So which is better?
If you want to get a minor specialization certificate, which obviously adds to your CV when you later add that okay, I have done a minor specialization in big data or something of that sort, then it obviously is beneficial. But if you realize after your sixth semester that this is not something that interests me, then you can obviously switch. It's not that big a deal.
I have one last
There is,
question regarding this.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, Ritik, go on.
I just
please.
like to add to that, right? So basically, a specialization is a collection of courses that fall under a particular bracket, and that bracket has been named a specialization.
Oh,
As you said, that should you take a specialization or should you take individual courses? See, it is possible that every specialization has one course that is really nice, and the others may not interest you, right? And you wish to pursue those particular courses. It gives you the freedom where you can choose those courses. You're happy with what you have studied, it aligns with your interest, but it does not give you a specialization certificate also. And that's okay, because you've pursued a course that is part of your course curriculum. That is not a specialization also. That is also fine.
okay. So, like, how much time did you guys used to devote to program electives or specialization subjects?
So
Or
now currently in our seventh semester, right, we only have program electives and an open elective. It's not like program elective is something different from a subject. It's just a subject that has been named an elective because it's an elective, and it's named program elective because it relates to your branch.
Yes.
That's the only
so,
difference. So like
so
I
six
have the
six
handbook.
semesters
Yeah.
6 semesters you have only 2 electives, program electives, and 7 semester is the whole program elective only. So
Program
that's it.
elective is basically subjects that you're getting to choose for yourself.
Yeah. So in
It is
six till
nothing
six
different.
semester, yeah, it's till sixth semester. There were few set of like there were subjects which were common to each and every student in your branch. But in seventh semester, you can have different subjects with your classmates also. That's the difference.
Thank you so much, guys.
Ritik, you were saying something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all. That is all I was saying. That sixth semester may you just have 2 program electives and 3 compulsory subjects that every student in your department has to take. And then as soon as you come to the seventh semester, you have only program electives. So you choose each and every subject that you study in your seventh semester. And this is a new curriculum that started from our year. I think before that, seniors had 1 elective in fifth, one in sixth, then 5 in the seventh, something like that. And even in the seventh semester now, we don't even have labs. So you can really choose a subject even if it's difficult, and you have the time to study it if you want.
Thank you, guys. I'm sure your inputs were really helpful. Moving on, our next question is, which course subjects were helpful during the placement season?
So the basic CS core subjects, operating systems, OOPS, data structures, and algorithms. I would say
And
it
computer
depends on
network.
the so it's not written anywhere that all the companies will ask this only. It depends on the job role which they are offering you. So if they are offering some XYZ, so it comes in the name itself. So if it's a software development engineer, SDE, so expect them asking you questions related to DS and algos the most, and also sometimes basic questions on software development life cycles and everything. Uh, Secondly, coming to other parts of the subject CS subjects, so I would say OS and computer networks is is again so I think Maitri would agree with me that Citrix would have asked her computer networks the questions also,
No,
which
I'll elaborate on that once
yeah,
you.
so basically, many times what happens is people go behind data structures and algorithms, and they don't brush up concepts on OOPS and OS. So what happens is since Java and OOPS is in your curriculum, the interviewers expect you to know all the basic fundas of OOPS and operating systems like thoroughly. So they ask you basic questions which you know you had studied, but at the time of interview you are not able to answer because it was like past 2 years you have not touched that subject. So before, if you're studying for placements, before starting up with your this thing, first interviews and everything, I would say keep the notes which you have made during studies of your regular exams, and you can, if you just go through it and you use help, take a help of GFG and everything, that should be enough for you to answer all the questions which they expect you to know.
Yes. So what happened? What happens is that while we are preparing for interviews and everything, like Dhruv said, we forget that apart from DSA, there are other subjects that need to be focused on. Like whenever you are appearing for an interview, first Google what the company is about. If the company is a development-based company, then they will ask backend-based questions, or they will ask framework-based questions. All of this they will ask. If it is say a networking based company, they will ask networking. So these are some things like we did not since we had our NSEMs cancelled, that is why we could not study DS, or so not sorry not DS, DBS and OOP and all of OS, and all of these subjects were not, we did not take them so seriously at that point of time. That is why we had to study everything from scratch before interviews, but we did make sure that we are covering all the details. So that is why when the companies came, even if we were not thorough with each and every concept, you can talk about that particular thing, around that particular thing basically. Even if you're not exactly on point, if the interviewer knows that okay, you are familiar with the concepts and you can work around those concepts, that should also be sufficient. But it is obviously advisable that when you're studying, if you're studying those subjects properly in college, then of course keep your notes handy and then brush them up before your interview, and additional preparation on GFG and other sites. That interview bit and GFG, that is obviously helpful. So these would be my insights.
So a lot of these companies, right, they don't just stick to the core subjects. Some of them, depending upon their role and their company, have different requirements as well. Like I remember this company called Cohesity. They stressed heavily on Linux commands. Now, this is not something that you will go out of your way and study about in your course curriculum anywhere, unless you really have a very extensive Linux lab and you've used commands enough on a particular scale to really remember them. So I feel that the broad spectrum of preparation should be the core subjects, and then you can, as and when companies come, you tweak your preparation in such a way to cater to that particular company, and you can stress on those particular elements a little bit more,
And
and whatever extra that is required.
one more thing I want to add, since this company, since the interviewers which come, they have a lot of experience, right? They have come to know that many times people tend to forget the stuff. So they ask you first whether you know this topic or not. Answer yes only if you know that topic
True.
properly and thoroughly. don't answer yes if you are not sure about that topic thoroughly, because what happens is as soon as you say yes, so taking the example of core city as well, if you say yeah I have used Linux, so they think that okay you know each and everything about Linux, and they'll ask you that question which you have never encountered on Linux as well, in your whole
They'll start
working with the
asking
Linux.
in-depth questions basically, and they'll expect you to know the answers to those.
Yeah, and if you say no, there's no harm. So the interview judges you on the things which you know and how well do you know the things. So if I say I don't know OOPS, no problem. If I don't know OOPS, if I say if I know data structures, he'll ask me all data structure questions. If I am able to answer all those questions, I'm pretty sure that I'm in for the next round. So keep that in mind.
Because that's what happens, right? Once you say that I know something, they will take it for granted that you know that, and they don't need to. They just keep asking you those questions. Like for me in Oracle, when they ask me object-oriented programming questions, they assume that I will know Java. I just straight out said that, sir, it was part of my curriculum, but since I did not use it in the past 1.5 years, I don't know Java, or I don't remember Java. So again, can I do it in C++? And they were more than happy for me to implement OOPS in C++. So it just, you have to be very frank with your interviewer. If you
Yeah.
don't know something, just say I don't know, because don't waste their time, don't waste your time. Be extremely precise. It will genuinely benefit you, because then you are confident about everything that you say yes about.
Thank you, guys. We are surely going to keep this in mind. Next question we have is, what is the must-have for the computer-related branch students in their resume?
Okay.
Project,
Projects.
the number one
Yeah.
thing, yeah, because that is
Like
one
talking,
place where you, sorry,
these like
yeah,
projects and
definitely,
internships. These
yeah,
are
yeah,
talking points. When the interviewer starts, tell me something about yourself. He has your resume open in the other half of the window, maybe. So these are, when you start talking about your internship, okay, then he identifies, okay, this is the field he has worked in. I can ask him or her questions based on this. Or if he or she has done a project on this technology, then they will be familiar with these concepts. So these are big talking points in your interview. So these are a must.
And this actually helped. Like I have live examples of my friends who plays in Oracle with Ritik as well, because few people they didn't touch competitive programming or any, like they didn't have any interest in data structures. And there's a thing, right? To crack an interview, you must know data structures very well, and you should be in coding and all. But if you have really good projects on your resume, and as Maitri said in the introduction itself, if you talk to them about your projects, so they forget about your this thing. They'll talk to you about your project if you are able to explain what you had done and the whole system structure and all the structure which you have implemented. So your interview goes in that only. And since you answered everything well, there's no point he or she could raise to not to select you for the next rounds. So if you are not that interested in competitive coding or coding, instead you should invest your time in doing good projects
Yes.
anywhere
Could you
under your
if you
faculty
have,
or and under your
yeah,
faculty, under competitions or anywhere.
could you please
so we,
elaborate on your projects respectively, if you don't mind?
So yeah, so my I had three major projects. So two were from hackathons and one was like I implemented a research paper. So first was in the Smart India hackathon. So first of all, there was an internal hack which took in the college. So we had opted a problem statement from ISRO. So they had a statement regarding that companies like Amazon and big product based companies uh, have a tedious job to see how a product is being marketed and how people review their products. So what happens is this takes up a lot of time from the company and a lot of capital also. So we had to devise a solution where this problem could be solved. So we were a team of four to five people. So we had created a application which specifically uh, targeted on this cause and segregated the reviews under using NLP and all. So I worked on the website part. Second thing was again in Manipal hackathon we had a problem statement. We have a good problem statement about responsible media. So So the fake news, which, many a times fake news are very bad for everyone. They just put assumptions in your mind. So again, we had to filter out the news which are proven to be not true, and we had to develop a application regarding it. So we used the concept of blockchain. And third was regarding a privacy research paper which I had done under one of my professors in the ICT department. So it was recently done in September. So these were the projects. These were three major projects which were listed on my resume. And I had been asked about these projects. Half of the interview went in this project only.
I feel like Dhruv is a special case here because his projects are
Really nice. That is
very
what.
complex and
Yes.
they're really good
Yeah,
projects.
actually.
You will find a handful of people with these kinds of projects.
Yes, true.
The
I
entire
absolutely agree.
candidate pool. Okay? If you have something as basic as an interactive website that you have
Yes.
built, that is more than sufficient for you to showcase different technologies. Right? They don't want you to make the next Facebook. They just want to know whether you can implement a database, whether you can deploy a website, whether you can make a good user interface, and all of those qualities. Just the basics. You don't really have to be. You don't have to make such amazing projects that he has made just to sway an interview in your direction or showcase your skills. So you can have basic projects as well, and because they understand, right? You're a college student, you wouldn't be into such intricate and complex projects.
These are
Anything that helps showcase your
definitely a
skills.
big plus point. It is definitely a big plus point to have such projects on your resume. But at the same time, I'll tell you what my projects were. I mentioned two projects. One was a full stack website, and another was a Flutter app which I had made in some hackathon. Okay, it was like how do you connect the third tier cities with at the same pace as the other cities, like what how will you simplify the UI and something of that sort. I don't even remember it that well right now. So it was something of that sort. So one app and one website. So basically to give the interviewer an idea that okay, I have done development work along with um, DSA and the other core subjects, just to give the idea to the interviewer that okay, you are familiar with development work and you have worked with some softwares. That is what you need to showcase in your CV through your project. And as far as the labs which ICT had, which required us to make projects, one was web development, full stack web development, and one was app development. And these two were in the same semester for us. So one tip that I would like to give is try to make the app for the same thing that you are making the website for, so that you can link the same backend to both the website and the app. So that will make your job a lot easier. So that is one thing that
This is again an opportunity to have
Yeah, very good.
one more project
yes,
in your pocket. So make a good project so you can put it on your resume as well.
But this
You
is a
don't have
very good idea that Mary gave, right? That you have one project and you use that same for an app and a website, because not a lot of companies also nowadays have apps and websites. If you are launching your project or something, if you have an app and a website for that and it works for you academically also, that's that's definitely you should go ahead with rather than making two separate projects.
this is something, and I think we were expected to make a project for embedded systems as well, but that we couldn't do because I'm thankful we couldn't do, but because that needed hardware and we had our labs online, so that did not.
And plus one thing, the question which you asked, I think we missed few labs also, project labs also, because we had been called for 3 weeks only. In each week we have to complete a whole lab. So I think they had bypassed the projects of those labs. So we did have to implement. I think DWDM and DMP had some
Yes,
projects
true.
which which we didn't have to implement
So
it in a Java.
DWTM CCE had in their fourth sem, right? We had in our fifth sem. So we
Fifth sem.
So we did submit DWDM project as well. That was basically to implement any one of the models. No, I think three of the models. For one problem statement, you had to implement any three of the models, linear regression and multiple regression, something of that sort. As far as I remember, we all picked up pretty simple problem statements because it was online. It was very difficult to coordinate with the team members as well. So I don't think that should be a lot of problem. You can definitely approach your lab instructor for what kind of problem statements you should go ahead with, what to go for, what not to go for, which will be too complicated to implement. They will guide you for this.
And I think for examples, right, you can take examples from a lot of real life implementations. Like supposing if you're like we had a DBS lab, a DBMS lab where we had to make a project. So something as easy as a hotel management application, something of that sort. You can start off there. Maybe take inspiration from an existing project that is implemented in the large scale in the world, and just try to maybe replicate it or build upon that.
And I
That is
think
also a
even
great
if you're not
practice.
able to complete the project like till the final date now, if say suppose it's a DBS lab and you're not able to put proper things on your screen, on your website, on your application, if you show the faculties the working behind your application, but somehow it's not working, like it's not coming up, that should also be enough because they want to know that you're able to implement DBS concepts on your application. That's it, and you have shown that to them, so it's fine. You get those marks.
All right. So besides the regular course, did you do any extra courses or specialization that proved to be an aid to you?
Yeah,
Like any extra
okay.
material that you referred?
I started competitive coding online. Then I also did a web development course online. These two courses I did, and they were very helpful because for when you are working, like studying for your curriculum, then you don't really get to work a lot on the technical parts. So for that you have to work on your own. So for competitive coding, for basically the DSA part, the college curriculum is not sufficient. You have to study that on your own. You have to practice on your own. So for that, I took up a course which was very beneficial for me. Like it made coding fun for me. Like I personally did not like coding before, but I had to do it for my placement. But it was explained in a way that I liked coding. I understood the concepts very well. It was a coding blocks competitive coding course. So that is something that you can get if you want to pursue coding, like if you want to prepare for an SDE role. It was a very nice course. And for web development, I took the Angela Yu full stack development course, which I think a lot of people have done or they already,
Udemy.
yeah, Udemy one. So that was also really nice. Like it explained the basics well, and then after one point, development is something that you have to Google simultaneously. For anything that you have to implement, you need to use Google very smart for development work. So it was useful, but then again, nothing that you cannot get on Google. But the course is very structured. So if you want to get an overall idea that what all a person should know, then that course is really nice, I think.
All right. Okay, thank you guys. Uh,
Moving on, I'll ask the next question. These days, everyone is learning coding online. How do computer branch related students get a leverage over the others?
So as you see, right, computer science students have these subjects like OS, TN, DBMS as part of their curriculum. Or someone from an electrical branch or the mechanical branch does not have these subjects as part of their core curriculum. So if their next destination is a placement or a job, for that they have to prepare for it separately. But us as computer science students or computer department students, we have that as part of our curriculum. And we've already done it for over 6 months. We've probably done a lab on it. So we're much well versed with that particular course than the other branches will naturally have. I think we do definitely have an advantage for over the ones who don't have these core
It's an
subjects as part of the
it's an
curriculum.
extra effort which every other branch has to put apart from computer science.
Right.
Plus, one more thing is why online is more beneficial for us is we have a very limited hardware use. So, like EC, Triple E, mechanical, civil, like their work will mostly revolve around, hardware or like software part for computer-based branches is more like the roles, the company, the roles which they offer, they are also 90% software based. So these are something that you can practice, you can learn sitting at your home. So the online, since we had our entire 4 semesters, almost 3 to 4 semesters online, it did not, impact a lot on our learning because we can do pretty much everything that we could do from college, from our houses as well. But you cannot say the same thing to a mechanical or civil or maybe EC, triple E people as well because you did not have the hardware, the circuits, and the motherboard and everything that you need. We did not need all of those things.
That makes sense. Thank you. Next question is, could you please elaborate about your research projects which you must be doing in your 7th sem?
So I had done a research project. Yeah. So I had done a research project under one of my ICT department faculties. Her name is Nisha Shetty. So so I had my information security subject in my 5th semester. So I had no idea about that subject in like for the initial days, but then as I started studying for it for the 9th sems, so it it grasped like it it hold on how should I put it? I mean, it created an interest in me, and then I was like, okay, let's try. So I had done my internship with Hello.ai. So there I had to create a, a software. I won't talk about that, but had a security concept also in it. So that thing plus this subject created more interest in me. So as she is one of the persons who have done work under research under information security. So me and two of us approached her, and she was happy to guide us in one of the research projects. And we created a model, secure sharing of text-based data using hybrid encryption techniques. So as a part of a curriculum, if you are in, I think IT also has a subject. CCE and IT will have a subject of information security. So there you will learn about different algorithm techniques and everything. So we had combined different algorithm techniques which are used in industries and had a model built on it. So our aim was to provide them with the best combination, which takes the less time to encrypt the messages, send it, and decrypt the messages. So this was the project which went for around 2 or 3 months in 6 semester itself, and then we had to present that paper in one of the conferences, international IEEE conferences, and that worked out very well. So this was one of the projects which we had done. So if you want to do a research project, find first what makes you like what interests you, and then find a particular, like if you want to do under a faculty, or else you can do with your peers as well. But I would say if we are doing under faculty, it helps a bit because they have experience, they have already published so many papers, they know how the process goes like. So they'll help you, and it's pretty fun, if you have one research project, you get a new experience apart from normal projects which you do. So yeah,
Which year should we go for? Like,
any
in which
and
year?
no, it does not depend on your year.
In which year did
If
you do?
you if in OOPS only in 6 semester in third year. So if a subject comes in, say suppose for triple E, if a subject comes in your curriculum, say suppose ABC subject, and that is really interesting for you, and you know that there's a lot of scope for research in this subject, you could pick up a faculty, or you can talk to your friends who are also interested and start working on it, and find first list the conference and journals which are coming up, which are coming up in your coming 2 3 months, and then put a deadline on that conference and we'll start working on it.
Okay. So were you doing other projects as well while you were
Uh,
working on the research project?
no, so I was doing my internship. So as I told earlier, I was doing my internship with one of the companies, and uh, with that internship, I was working on this project as well. So I had two other friends always with me as well. So that made a bit easy. But if you are doing individual research, then it takes a lot of time for you to dig in things and know stuff first before implementing yourself.
So generally, what is like the time frame of implementing this project, and are there any prerequisites other than the academic, the academic syllabus? Like,
So not only so I said about academic because the subject started from my academic background. Because so if there's some so suppose you're in triple E but you have to do some computer related thing, it's not necessary that you should be knowing that should be in your curriculum. But if you have if you have a fair idea about that subject, and you don't have to be having a complete idea about the whole subject, even if you have one topic in your hand which you have to go inside and put it on your search. So that should be enough, and that should be known to you very well, and you should able to convince the teacher. Yes, ma'am, I am willing to do this project. I know this stuff. I have this idea to implement. What do you think about it? Or do you think is it feasible for us to make it in the given time frame? We are targeting this conference or this journal, and then if she or he agrees, then you're good to go with them, and they'll guide you properly.
Okay.
I think
So,
research
okay,
projects
thank you so
are
much.
optional. Yeah, so you can either go for research projects, or you can directly do an internship. You can choose between the two. Or if you are interested in research, then you can go ahead with research anyway. So I think amongst the three of us, Dhruv was the only person who went with research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Guys, since you, so like I would like to know, where did you get to know that which company should you apply for during the internship season, and like where did you get, like where did you used to get the updates?
So I think you'll have your class representative in your particular classes and departments. You will get a mail from them. That's the procedure. And I don't think you will really feel like not applying to any particular company unless, obviously it's for a role that you don't want to go to. More or less, you'll end up applying for all companies that satisfy your role. And it's really very, I'd say a minute number of companies that you don't apply for because they don't fit your particular requirement. Otherwise, generally people, because that period is such, right? It's an intense period with a lot of people getting placed around you. You're intimidated, you're tired, you've been working so hard for so long. And sometimes
I
what happens is you don't get a company that, I've seen this for a lot of my friends, that you really work hard for, and you end up getting another company, and probably for the best, right? That's the company that wants you, and that's the one that they think fits where you fit very well. So yeah, you can't plan for that. That'll just
so
happen.
one more thing, like when you guys will reach your fifth, I think you're in fifth sem only, right? So
Yeah, in
so
third.
these companies will start coming up. Okay,
Within
I think it's done already. So many a times what happens is you see
Yeah.
your friends getting the internship offers, so you become a bit more desperate. So कि मुझे क्यों नहीं मिल रहा भाई? So you tend to apply to few companies पर कि हाँ मिल जाए तो it's fine. But then what happens is if you get a PPO, then you can't back out from that company. So you are missing out a lot of companies which will be coming on your fourth year, which don't come in your internship period, internship time. Say suppose Oracle, Citrix, and this all companies come in early of your placement season and they give good packages. So if you settle up down with a company under your desperation in your fifth sem, you will be missing out on these companies. So think that okay, it's fine if you don't get. I don't think any three of us got uh, fifth sem internship, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
We did not
yeah,
get.
we applied offline only in some
And
startups and all.
it's all right if you don't get, okay, it will become very easy for you if you get an internship in your third year itself. But it's all right if you don't, because there will be so many companies coming in your fourth year. There will be so many opportunities. All you need to keep is patience. till you get your own company. That is very important. First, you identify which role you want to apply for, whether it's technical or non-technical. If it's technical, is it SB or uh, what is it?
Site
Yeah,
reliability or any
yeah.
other.
Well, whichever role that you want to go for. These are some decisions that you make before the entire process starts, and after that you just keep working on your skill set, and you will get placed eventually. Just keep a calm mind and have patience.
That's quite
I'll just give
amazing. I
you
must
an example of what Maitri said, right? Because for us, for PPO, hardly five companies came. The week in which me, Maitri, and Dhruv got placed, that week or 10 days, in those 10 days, there were at least 24 companies that came.
24 companies, yeah.
And there was, and those were like big names, all of them.
It
Wells
happens
Fargo, and
like
all of these companies.
you get
These were,
confused. Should I apply on this
yeah.
company? What if I'm giving an interview for this company and the OT comes for this company?
Yeah,
So
such a situation will also arise that in a day you are appearing for two interviews. Like one interview ends and another interview for another company starts. It will be so hectic, like so many companies will be there.
it happened with Kritik, I
This
think,
happened for me. This happened.
Co-SAT and Oracle.
Yes, this happened for me. So what happened was, uh, then the day I had my Oracle interview, just the night before that, I had my co-SAT OT. I gave the OT, probably had dinner or something after that. And in an hour, I started preparing for my Oracle interview. And I got a mail from co-SAT that you have been selected for interview, and your interviews are tomorrow. And I was like, what? You have your Oracle interview tomorrow, quiz is also tomorrow. And like, I started messaging the placement coordinator that what is this? Are you guys going to coordinate? I don't want to miss the foreign opportunity because it's clash. And next day morning, I got up 8 o'clock. I had my co-SAT interview, very long interview, done with that. 10 o'clock, I had my Oracle interview, half an hour break, another Oracle interview, half an hour break, another Oracle interview. Then same day, I had Blackrock OT also. So that is how it's going to be. That was probably the most hectic day in my entire college life. It's very hectic, and yeah,
I think
but it's
I
Now
think
but
that
co-SAT
it's all
I think
over,
co
we are smiling, but that period
yeah,
was
yeah.
that
really
time
traumatizing.
I so
I think
that's what
co-SAT
happened,
was
right?
pretty
After
fast this year because
yeah,
they had taken our OT on at suppose 7 p.m. They put out the results on 10 p.m. They took the interview next day and they put out the results for like the selects at 4 p.m. So they were done within 24 hours with our college.
before my second Oracle interview only, co-SAT select list came, and they took only two people. But yeah, it's crazy. It's a very competitive atmosphere. That day, I remember I came from I gave my Blackrock OT, and after that, I was just tired, and I was like, yeah, I thought my Oracle was good, and I was just the entire night I was just refreshing that email page. I think all of us are guilty of that. Just hoping कि यार I get that final select का mail, and I remember I was up till 11:45 that day, and I was so sad, and I slept. And I actually have a funny story for that. Next day morning, I was like, "Ki, chuck it, yaar, I'm very sad, and I'll probably be a little bummed out the entire day." So I decided to book my second vaccination slot, and I went ahead for my second vaccination, saying that I'll probably get some fever and I'll be down. And I got that vaccination done, and after that, I refreshed. Next day in the morning, I got that, oh my God, you're selected. So it's a pretty hectic time, yeah.
quite of an experience though.
So,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Moving on, would you like to share your future plans? Ritik, could you go ahead?
I think I have a pretty good job in hand. I'm looking to work for Oracle. Yeah, I'll have my internship starting probably second week of January. Yeah,
Pretty
excited
much
for
same.
that.
I'm not sure about anything for now. Like at least after BTech, I want to take a bit of break and then let's see what happens.
I
Let's hope
don't
for the
think
best.
that it's nobody is sure at this point that what they are going to do. Maybe those who got placed, and if we are all happy, with the work we are doing at our office, then we'll stick around for a couple of years, then maybe go for MBA or MS based on where our interest lies. But right now, since after so much of hassle and so much of BT we all got placed, we are going to enjoy some time in the offices, like
All
chill a bit.
Bangalore, most of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like party a bit. Let
At
loose
least
for
like for the next 6 months to 1 year,
yes,
no one's
let
going to
loose
take
for
things
some time.
seriously.
Everyone's
you
going
were.
to Bangalore.
Sorry?
Everyone's going to Bangalore, sadly.
Yeah. All of them.
Right. The last question for this session, and quite an interesting one. So, what would be the advice you're going to give to your past self?
It's basically, I'll tell you. I used to take a lot of BT for small things. So at the after 3 years, I got to know that everything works fine. So if you give some time to each and everything, life works out. So if you are genuinely a good person, or you are interested, if you do everything with your own will, and if you give it 100%, things will work out. Nothing will stop you or uh, be a hurdle for you. So this is the thing which I learned in my BTech. Things work out.
Yeah, I think I also learned the same thing, that probably to relax a little and everything will eventually work out, and it'll some can say that probably because it has worked out in the end, you have the liberty to say that, but it does work out for everyone. You see around you, slowly everything falls in place for everyone,
True.
and the small things that you stress about don't really matter in the long run.
Yes, Ritik has put it in a very beautiful way. I don't want to spoil it by adding something. But since one thing which I would like to say is just keep working. Like don't stop working on something. Like even if you're not sure if this is what you want to do for in the longer run, don't ever stop working on something. Like one thing after the other, something will click, something you will find your interest in something or the other. And all of this cumulative will help you achieve your final goal. So don't waste your time as such. Enjoy as much as you can, and at the same time, make a lot of good friends. Surround yourself with positive people, people who have the same interests as you, people who can help you out, people in every field, not just academically. And in this entire process, keep on learning. That is all that you can do, and then everything will fall into place, like Ritik said.
Yeah, I think just to add to what Maitri said, right, about friends, have these amazing set of friends. Like what connects all of us here today is IEEE, right?
Yeah.
And that is what got all of us together. A lot of how my life has evolved over the past 1.5 years has to do with all of my IEEE friends, and the platform that IEEE offered. I think I can probably without hesitation
Yeah.
call it the highlight of my college life.
True, for me too.
Yeah.
Like you will see different people pursuing different things. Like someone will be too good at web development, someone will be too good at app development, someone will be competitive coding god. And like I'm speaking on behalf of my branch, and all of these things will inspire you that okay, if that person is so good, he's of the same age as me, and he's so good at this one thing, I can also try my hand at this. I can also try. It will inspire you to do different things, to take up new tasks, and eventually all of this will reflect when you give your final interview.
Thank you. Thank
So, on that inspirational note, we conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Ritik, Maitri, and Dhruv, for joining us today and enlightening our viewers with your experiences and learnings.